As a continuation of our SWOT analysis, this podcast will discuss the fifth factor in the external environment, which is the socio-cultural environment. Again, these are trends or changes over time in the characteristics of people in society. These can be at many levels, which could be a country or national level, a regional level, subcultures, or global. The two key factors within the socio-cultural environment are changes in demographic groups and categories and changes in underlying cultural values and beliefs as they are manifested in lifestyles. Let's cover some of these demographic trends first. Two of the most important changes in demographic trends today that are presenting opportunities and threats for companies include what is called the graying of the population. What this means is that the percentage of people who are elderly in society is increasing as a percentage of the population over time. And this increase is particularly pronounced in some countries, such as Italy and Japan. These countries have extremely low birth rates, and as the population gets older, it puts a strain on many government services because of the government security net that is designed to provide supporting infrastructure for the elderly. It's also a phenomenon in the United States that also varies significantly by state. And when there's a high percentage of elderly people in a particular area, it puts an upper limit on the economic growth potential as well as the number of younger employees that are available to fill open positions. So there is a tie between these demographic trends and the economic trends. A second demographic trend that is particularly pronounced today is the percentage of people in society who are obese. The obesity epidemic has posed serious issues, again, opportunities and threats. Some of the biggest opportunities that the obesity trend has presented are for companies who make seats and hospital equipment. What we're seeing is that airplane seats, theater seats, car seats are all wearing out much quicker and they need to be bigger. And companies who make these types of products are seeing huge growth rates in their businesses. Similarly, any infrastructure in a hospital, such as beds, are needing to be reinforced and made stronger in order to lift the increasing percentage of people who are obese, who are coming to the hospital with health care problems, in part that are related to their obesity. We'll discuss other demographic trends in society in class. A second dimension of the socio-cultural environment are changes in lifestyles over time. For example, I've talked already about the value that people place on their pets. This is a very important cultural trend that is posing opportunities and threats for companies who either can create new ways to create revenue from these changes, or conversely, if consumer spending is moving from one category to another, that would be a threat. In addition, people are spending less time in the outdoors, and this is posing threats to companies who sell equipment or provide services that relate to outdoor recreation. The second bullet that you see here deals with the fact that all of these issues vary globally. All marketing and management students will be taking an international business course from Professor Likala, who many of you who have had her just know what a wonderful professor she is, and she excels in covering these issues that you see that are covered in the remainder of the chapter. As I mentioned, another factor in the external environment is the natural resource environment, and the asterisk here means that this factor is not explicitly covered in your textbook, but it is critically important today. Trends in the availability of raw materials pose opportunities and threats. One of the most important raw materials today is silicon that is used to create silicon wafers or chips that drive many of our electronics. The fluctuation in the availability of this raw ingredient means that there's a high degree of risk in the supply chain for companies who make products related to chips. Another example more close to home is huckleberries. Huckleberries are used as inputs by the Huckleberry Company, who makes candies, jams, candles, and personal body care products. Most of us study in operations management the role of just-in-time delivery, where we want our inputs to come to the manufacturing floor just when we need them. But when there are big trends in the fluctuation and the availability of raw materials, the Huckleberry Company, for example, keeps a 5-year supply of huckleberries on hand to mitigate against the risk of dry summers or periods of time when bears who forage on huckleberries maybe need more berries in a particular season, and the Huckleberry Company might not get as many as they need in any annual harvest. A second factor affecting trends in the natural resource environment relate to trends in the environmental impact of business practices. We've covered this previously as the triple bottom line with respect to the impact on the planet. Companies today are facing, again, risks, which is a way of saying opportunity or threat, from the impact that they have on the environment. This can be both in their usage of natural resources as well as in their outputs in terms of pollution or a waste stream. Companies today need to look at that as an opportunity and a way to gain competitive advantage, either by recycling, disposal, using their cradle-to-cradle process, which means their outputs become inputs. And we see this even in the Coca-Cola advertising today that is very much focused on recycling as a way to create new products from the recycling of plastic bottles. Now, don't confuse the actual risk of the environmental impact with the lifestyle trend of consumers who expect companies and society to be more sustainable. That is driven by people's values and beliefs, which would be a socio-cultural trend. And you'll see that these are interlocking trends to some extent. As you see here, this concludes the coverage of Chapter 3 in terms of what you need to know for your SWOT analysis.